What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a mid taper on my boy, so stay tuned. We're gonna start off by debulking the edges with the 3 guard all the way open. He is trying to grout his hair, so we're not gonna go too high. Now that we're done debulking with our 3 guard, we can move on to our clipper of a comb and continue to debulk. Right here, we're just scoping the hair. We're making sure we have a clean canvas and silhouette to blend into. Now that we're done creating our silhouette, we can move on to our anti outliners and create our first guideline. You want to make sure you're not pressing too hard so you can blend out this guideline easily. Now that we're done balding them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. We're then going to use the lever midway and all the way close to erase that initial guideline. Now we're moving on to our 2 guard all the way open, and we're continuing to debulk and flick out as much as we can. Now we're moving on to our 1.5 guard, and we're slightly flicking out the dark line that I see. Now we're moving on to our 1 guard all the way open, and we're continuing to flick out that dark line. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's really appreciated. Thank you. Now that we're done using our 1 guard, we're gonna switch over to our 1/2 guard and erase the line completely. Now that we're done with our lower guards, we can switch over to our 3 guard all the way open and continue to flick out. Remember, we're not trying to go too high because he is going to grow his hair out. Here I switch over to my 2 guard after using the 3 guard all the way open. Now that we're getting higher and the hair is getting very long, we're going to switch over to our clipper of a comb and try to blend in as much as we can. When I use the cutting blade horizontally, I'm debulking, and when I use the cutting blade vertically, I'm blending. Remember, you want to tilt the comb at a certain degree just in case you don't want to cut too much hair. Now we're detailing the side and removing this dark line that I see with the 3 guard all the way open, 2 guard all the way open, and then switching over to the 1.5 guard. Now that we're done with our 1.5 guard, we switched over to our 1 guard and we used our corners to remove the bulk. Now that we're done blending the edge of the taper, we can move on to our anti outliners and make them as crispy as possible. I usually start off at the bottom and work my way to the top arch, but since he is gonna grow out his hair, we're gonna extend it over the ear. Now we're going to separate the taper from the top hair just so we could debulk it with the one guard all the way open. Now that we're done debulking the taper with the one guard all the way open, we can move on to a 4 guard all the way closed and debulk his beard. Mustaches are usually the most densest area, so going over with the one guard all the way open should usually be the right length. When you're near this part of the ear, you want to be very careful you don't nick them with your teeth of the trimmer. Moving on to the C cup, I'm starting my way at the bottom and working our way to the top arch. I always like to go slow and make sure the hair feeds into the trimmer. Now we're gonna line up the back of the beard. Now that we're done budding them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. Remember to always stretch the skin with your opposite hand. When I start to blend in the sideburn and the beard, I always start off with my no guard all the way open and then slightly close the lever. Before I line up the beard, I usually lay the client back. Here I'm using my previous guards to blend in the taper into the bulk. Moving on to our Turkish razor, we're gonna use our Derby Premium blades and make them as crispy as possible. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing you guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a high taper on my boy, so stay tuned. We're gonna be starting off by saturating the hair and cutting the top. The reason why we want to saturate the hair and cut the top before we do the taper is because it makes it easier for us to blend the taper into the bulk. We started off our first guideline at the top of the head, and then we're gonna work our way to the back and then the sides. When using your shears, you want to make sure you grab the comb and feed the hair into the comb while picking it up. Then you grab it with your fingers, pull it at its maximum length, then you cut when it's visible. As you can see here, we're working our way to the back and we're connecting that same guideline that we made on the top to the back. Now we're going to connect the guideline to the sides. He does want more of a blowout flare look, so we're gonna make sure we cut enough off the sides and make it blend. Now that we're done cutting the top, we can move on to the back taper. We're starting off with our T outliners, creating our first guideline, contouring to his head shape. You wanna make sure you're not pressing too hard, because then it will make this guideline very visible. Now that we're done botting them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. There is a bit of bulk here, so I am flaring out with the no guard all the way open. I'm not going directly in, but if it does make it easier for you, you could debulk with around a 3 guard first and then use your no guard all the way open. Using your lever midway and all the way closed will help you erase that initial guideline. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to the 2 guard all the way open and start to debulk as much as we can. As you can see, once I get to the top of the guideline, I'm flicking out and then recombing with my comb and then flicking out again. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. Moving on to the 1 guard all the way open, we're going to be creating our third guideline. Remember, we're going to use this same guard and the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the half guard. Now that we're done softening up the line with the 1 guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Now we're moving on to our 3 guard all the way open, and this is going to help us blend into the bulk. There's a little bit of a dark line there, so I switched over to my 1.5 guard and try to remove it as much as I can. Sometimes after using the 1.5 guard, there's still a faint line, so switching over to your 1 guard all the way open and using its corners will help. The hair was still damp here, so I pulled out my blow dryer and dried it up. Now that we're done debulking with the 2 guard, we're going to move on to our clipper over comb, and we're going to continue to blend in from that 2 guard into the bulk. This clip roll of a comb section is very important, especially when it comes to these haircuts. You want to leave enough bulk there that it blends in smoothly, and you also want to take it down enough to where the blend blends in smoothly, because if you don't, it would be very rigid and you're going to be able to tell. Here I'm using my cutting blade vertically so I could blend into the fade. Now we're getting into the part where a lot of people struggle at. That's why when I go use my clip roll of a comb method, I pick up the hair very slightly, cut it off, see how the hair falls, then I repeat that same process until I like how the hair is falling and how it looks. You always want to remember that you're sculpting the hair, you're not just cutting hair off. Now that we're done debulking, we can move on to our T outliners and make them as crispy as possible. When I'm lining up the neckline, I always start off at the bottom and work my way to the top arch, just because I feel like it can make the fade pop out way more. When you get to the top arch, you want to be careful not to press too hard against the skin because the teeth of the trimmer will bite them. You want to make sure you go slow enough that the hair feeds into the teeth of the trimmer, because if you go fast, it's not going to cut. Moving on to the high taper, we're starting off with our T outliners, creating our first guideline. You want to make sure this area is nice and bald and clean. Now we're moving on to our clip roll of a comb method, and we're going to sculpt his silhouette. This is going to make it easier for us to blend into his taper and bulk. Now that we're done debulking, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. As you can tell, a high taper is when we blend out the C cups. Remember to use the lever midway and all the way closed to help you erase that initial guideline. Now we're moving on to our one guard all the way open, creating our third guideline. Remember, we're going to use this same guard to soften up the line and get it ready for the half guard. Now we can move on to our two guard all the way open and continue to flick out once we get to the top bulk. We're going to then use the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the 1.5 guard. Now I'm using my 3 guard all the way open to continue to debulk right before my clipper over comb. Now we're using our clipper over comb method to make the blend smooth as possible. Now I'm adding extra detail with my previous guards and also switching over to my T outliners to make sure that neckline is crispy. Now we're moving on to our 1 guard all the way open and we're debulking his sideburns. Now we're continuing to fade in the beard with the 2 guard all the way open. Now we're switching over to our no guard all the way open and we're blending the top of the sideburn into the taper. Moving on to our T outliners, we're going to line up the back of his beard and make it as crispy as possible. You want to make sure not to take it too deep inside because then it will grow back weirdly. Now that we're done with this beard, we're going to move on to his front line and comb all his baby hairs down, then debulk with the 1.5 guard all the way open. If we use the 1 guard all the way open to debulk, it's then going to look too low. Now that we're done debulking and detailing, we can move on to our T outliners and make them as crispy as possible. I usually start off in the middle and work my way to the sides. You always want to make sure you go slow enough that the hair feeds into the trimmer, because if not, then the hair won't feed. Then your clippers are going to jam and then the hair won't cut. Now that we're pretty much done, we can move on to our Turkish razor and Derby premium blades and make them as crispy as possible. We're also going to be doing his eyebrows and his beard. A few tips when using the Turkish razor: you always want to make sure you stretch your skin as much as possible and also keep the blade at a 45-degree angle. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe is greatly appreciated. Also, if you made it this far into the video, leave a comment down below. I'm 100% gonna reply to it.